Hello everyone, my name is Just Missener from Off Meta Builds, and today I would like to share with you my Chaos Damage Chronomancer build. I've been having a ton of fun with this build. This build's kind of silly. It's very different from what I was playing last league, but I wanted to make something that was using Incinerate, and I wanted to use the Black Flame passive. So just to kind of go off of what we were doing last league with our Chronomancer, it's a little different though this time around because our main clear, because the changes to Incinerate, I didn't love them initially, but essentially you have to cast spells to gain fuel. When you have fuel, you can use Incinerate. So we can't just run around and use Incinerate like we did last league. So we have to cast spells and use mana to build up our Incinerate. So our primary clear, of all things, is Despair. It's a curse. And as you can see around Incinerate, this little line on the outside, when we cast it, it's filling up. Once it's full, we have a full charge of Incinerate to use for single target. Now, and as you can see, the little bar down around Incinerate is going, and it is gone. There. So, how does that work? How do we deal damage with curses? Well, there's a few things working here. Some of these unique support gems. Dodri's Undoing. Essentially, what this does is it does an explosion that does chaos damage equal to 200% of your int. So, we are stacking a lot of int. The more int we have, the more damage our Despair does. We also have it socketed with Tool's Stillness, which gives us extra chaos damage as cold, right? So extra chaos damage as cold. So when we're running around and spamming these, we will be freezing everything. We're utilizing that freeze kind of as a defensive. We're utilizing freeze and slows and energy shield as our defensives. I would like a little more energy shield. I'm kind of working on that, but yeah. So we're dealing damage through how much intellect we have with our Despair. We're also dealing damage with Impending Doom. It's the third gem we've socketed into our Despair. So it triggers a Doom Blast when curses expire. The Doom Blast deals chaos damage equal to 15% of your current mana. We have quite a bit of mana. And we're using gems that give us mana on kill. So our mana is always full. So we're having damage come from the chaos damage equal to our intellect. We're having damage come from the Impending Doom. Now, when we cast, it's casting twice. Once the second cast happens, as you can see, it's like blowing up there, right? If you cast, it causes the first one you put down to explode, which is proccing the Impending Doom. So the more we cast, the more explosions we get. We're also supporting that with spell Echo, so that our spells echo. That echoes that second cast. 1, 2. 2 casts for 1 click. 1, 2. And then we're supporting it with efficiency for less cost. Without efficiency, this would be very, very mana hungry. And as you can see, my mana is dipping quite a bit. We have 3 gems that have 2% mana gain on kill. So we're getting 6% mana on kill. So where our mana is always full as long as we're killing. So that is our main source of clear through Despair. And then our main single target is Incinerate. We are also utilizing skills on the passive tree that increase our flammability magnitude and our burn damage. So this is pretty nice. 28,000, it goes up, 34, 40. The more we channel, it goes up. So the tooltip right there is 40,500. But a big chunk of the damage is coming from our flammability and our ignites. So what do we do with Incinerate? So we're socketing it with considered casting, just less casting, more damage. We've socketed it with extraction so that we gain more chaos damage. We have socketed with ignition so that our ignites deal damage 15% faster and have 200% flammability magnitude. Searing flames so that it does less damage with hits but a lot more magnitude of ignites. The hit damage of Incinerate isn't super important when we're fighting bosses. It's the ignite and the flammability that really just melts them. And then Burgeon. Just for more damage per second when we're channeling. And you can watch here, we'll build up our Incinerate. You can watch as we channel our incinerate damage goes up. So those are our main damage dealers right there. We are playing a Chronomancer, so we do have access to Temporal Rift, which is when we're moving, as you can see these little shades of us. When we press Temporal Rift, we'll go to the very last one. And it refills like whatever mana and life we had, whatever our status was like there, that's what we go back to. So if you've quickly burned through all your mana, pop back there, you'll have it all. We're also playing Time Freeze. Oh, I guess we're supporting Temporal Rift with Second Wind, as well as cooldown recovery. Excuse me. Just getting over a cold here. There's not really much you can support this with, so I just kind of threw those in there. Time Freeze is really, really nice. Time Freeze, when we're coming up against a boss or a hard enemy, we just pop it like this, and it will completely freeze them in place. They're completely immobile, they can't do anything, and we can just sit there and channel our Incinerate on them and melt them. We're supporting Time Freeze with prolonged duration, so we have more skill duration. Magnified area, just for a bigger area of effect with it, and cooldown recovery, so we have it faster. That aside, pretty much all we're doing, we're adding 2 curses to what we're doing. So we're adding Blasphemy, and with Blasphemy, so for those of you who don't know, Blasphemy, you can socket a curse in it, and it puts this little ring around you, and it just has that curse going all of the time. So we're putting a temporal chains in Blasphemy just so that we can slow. Slows are really, really nice. It kind of slows down the pace of battle for the enemies to hit us. Pretty much our main defensive is our energy shield, and I try to have some decent life in there. That doesn't go very far. We're not pairing it up with armor or evasion, or we don't have super high energy shield or anything like that. So slowing the battlefield down really helps us that way. So with our temporal chains, we're supporting it with clarity, just so we have increased mana regeneration while it's active. It's active 100% of the time, so we always have that rolling. We have magnified area, so it's a bigger area of effect for slows. And vitality, which is regenerates 1% of maximum life. While it's active all the time. So we just got that little bit of life regen. And then we're also going with Withering Presence, which basically reduces the enemy's chaos resistance. So we're using Chaos Mastery for that level to support its skills. We're using Prolonged Duration, so more skill effect. And we are dealing 30% spell damage while on full energy shield, mysticism. So this is a really nice buff too. So that's pretty much it as far as skills. It's really a super simple build. We're just clearing with Despair and bossing with Incinerate. Now, the passives are pretty important too. We're going to jump right into it. We're going Chronomancer. What is important to have is, I would say, I would go down here to get Temporal Rift and Time Freeze. I don't know if I'd do that first. I would probably go Sands of Time first. Sands of Time is a really nice buff that you'll see it in my screen here. One's counting down and one's counting up. So as it gets up to 100%, or up to 50%, sorry, you gain increased area of effect, and then this one you gain cast speed. So it just, and they rotate, they go up and down, up and down. It's super fun to play around with. It's just a nice little quality of life. We are taking Apex of the moment so that enemies in our presence are slowed by 20%. That stacks with our temporal chains. So it's just, things are slow around us, you'll see. I'll show you guys soon. Then we're going for Temporal Rift. This is our teleport, which is a really nice lifesaver once you get used to how it works. And then down here with Time Freeze, that's how we stop bosses dead in their tracks. Now, this is a very standard, this would be very much like, here, let me move myself out of the way so you can see. This would be very much like your standard Essence Drain Contagion build. Because there's not a ton of chaos damage, as you can see, we've taken pretty much all of the chaos damage in the tree that we can access except this, and we have anointed our amulet for spaghettification. I do think I kind of want to try going recoup. There's a lot of recoup nodes that we could get along the way to filling this section out, but I haven't got that far yet. This has been plenty fine to clear tier 15 maps and pinnacle bosses. I'll show you guys a demo here. But yeah, let's talk a bit about the build. So As we go up, kind of along the way, you know, we're picking up some mana regen, we're picking up all these chaos nodes along the way over here. Grabbing this energy shield and int. Int is very important for the build. We are sitting at 384 int right now, which is one of the ways we're scaling our curse damage, so int is important. Spell damage is really nice, so we're picking up the spell damage as well. Then we're going up here, and Black Flame Covenant. This is very important. This is a key passive to the build. We want to be dealing chaos damage because we're scaling our clear, which is our curse damage, with chaos damage. So we want our Incinerate to scale with that as well. So we pick up Black Flame. We're working our way up here. We go over here and pick up these chaos nodes as well. Something else that's really important is Whispers of Doom. We need this right here. It says you can apply additional curse, double activation, delay of curses. We're going to talk about how we mitigate the delay of curses. We're using a unique that does that. So, but this is very important so that we can have an additional curse. The reason why that's important is because Despair is a curse, which is our damage, and Withering Presence is a curse. And without that passive, you can't have both of those active at the same time. So we need that passive there. Pick up the chaos damage. We're going over here to grab the int. It's very important. Going to get the chaos damage down here. We're picking up some cast speed, mana regen, as well as int right here. And we're going down here to grab this, right? 3% of increased spell damage per 100 maximum mana. We have a lot of mana. Our damage is scaling off of how much mana we have, so we're picking this up as well. And then we are using weapon sets, and we're going to talk about that. So our weapon set for Despair, we are scaling just curses. Curses here, we're picking up the curse magnitudes here, and we're going down here and we're picking up the area of effect for curses. So this is our weapon set 1. So when we switch, I'll show you. Our weapon set 2 is what we are using Incinerate for. Our weapon set 2, we're picking up our Ignites up here. We're picking up our Ignite here and our Flammability there. So our weapon set 2 is for our Incinerate. Every time we cast Incinerate, it'll put us in our weapon set 2, and every time we cast our Curse, it'll put us in our weapon set 1. The way you do that is, before you start spending points, you just click to allocate points into weapon set 1, and then you click your point, and then you click apply. You click that off and click allocate to weapon set 2, and it'll just remove the points you put in weapon set 1, and you can put it in weapon set 2, and then you click apply. And basically every time you switch weapons, it uses the different set of passives for that weapon. So that kind of brings us into the gear. We have 2 different weapons we're using here. One for our curses, and if you have your weapon set, I guess I'll show that real quick. If I go to my Incinerate, I just check this for weapon set 2, and I check that off for weapon set 1. If I go to my Despair, oops. What the heck? Sorry. If I go down to my Despair here, I have my Despair set on weapon set 1 and not weapon set 2. And my Incinerate on weapon set 2 and not weapon set 1. That's it. So what that looks like, here's our weapon set 1. We are using the same focus for both. So up here, if you just right click on that, on your weapon set 2, right click on your weapon set 1, it'll lock this focus. So you're using this focus on both your weapon set 1 and 2. Sorry, it's been a minute since I switched my weapon set. We're using the same focus. So our focus is spell damage, chaos damage. The most important thing is plus 3 levels to all spells. And then int is important and mana is important. The crit is kind of just a nice addition there. So our curse weapon is this one right here. The important things to note are 5 to all levels of chaos spells, spell damage and chaos damage, and then mana and int. That is important for this because our damage is scaling off of our int, it's scaling off of our mana, and we're dealing chaos damage. So a buff to chaos damage is important, and we're dealing spell damage, of course. So spell damage is important as well. So that is essentially our curse one. That's our clear one, and then when we incinerate, it automatically switches to our other wand, With this, you want, even though you're playing a chaos damage Incinerate, it still scales the spell off of fire spell skills. So, because Incinerate is a fire spell, even though it's dealing chaos damage. So you want plus level to fire spells. That's really important. Again, spell damage, high spell damage is important. Mana and mana regeneration rate, not super important. Mostly what's important here is our spell damage and our level 2 fire spells. I guess some other things I didn't really talk about in the tree. We're just picking up these energy shield nodes here, energy shield here, energy shield here, energy shield here. I've considered removing the energy shield and going for recoup, but I would have to change some of the gear around to do it. And then the last thing in the tree that's important is our gems. All of our gems, we're going 2% of max mana on kill, spell damage, and chaos damage. We got one there. We got one there against spell damage, chaos damage, max recover mana on kill, and then one more here. Spell damage, chaos damage, mana on kill. That is super important to the build. It just makes we basically have unlimited mana when that happens. It's really, really nice. So back to the gearing. Because we're going high energy shield, everything we have is energy shield. This build, you can run it with 100 spirit, but, oh no, I think you need 100. You don't need 150. I've got a couple gems that cost extra spirit in here. So I like to have 145 works. Just because I like having the vitality on Blasphemy, but you definitely need some spirit because we are running Blasphemy, we are running Withering Presence. So whatever you need to do to meet those spirit needs, I just got it on my chest. But we're going high energy shield as much as we can. So yeah, that's our weapons right there. We're using our Curse weapon and our Incinerate weapon. We're going high energy shield. What's really important here is energy shield, mana, int, and then rarity if you like the rarity. I like having the rarity, and of course your resistances. I am not chaos res capped. I think I'll probably be a lot more tanky when I am, but I didn't want to pump a ton of currency into the build at the moment. Whoops. Where do we go here? There. I was kind of using this build. I was trying to get this thing off the ground for as cheap as possible. I thought that was really important. I'm not much currency into this. You can craft these weapons for relatively cheap. You can craft this focus for relatively cheap. We do use basically just one unique here in the boots. This, I guess we'll talk about the boots. This is how our curses are casting instantly, are these boots. It sucks because the best move you can get on them is 20% move speed, but what's really important is that curses have no activation delay. That's super, super important for this build. I was playing around with, I'll show you a Mings, I believe. Yeah, I was playing around with Mings. It's a lot of extra chaos damage, but that almost 30% reduced global defenses. I do plenty damage, like plenty enough damage to farm anything. I'd say if you're just getting this build off the ground, grab a Mings. It does, like, it really increases your damage output. If I put Mings on right there. So let's see. So I've got my Incinerate up to 52,000 right there. I put this one in. Yeah. Without Mings, it goes up to, what, 40,000? So it's quite a big difference in how much chaos damage we're dealing, but we'll do a map, and you can see just how fast this thing clears. It's silly. You really don't need it when you're at this point. But you can rock a Ming. So the only real requirement for uniques is this boot, or these boots, just so that our curses cast instantly. Yeah, so Helm, again, energy shield, mana, resistances, rarity, chest, energy shield, int, resistances, and spirit. I got these 2 breach rings, which are going for chaos damage, resistances, rarity on this one, chaos damage, mana, rarity, resistances on this one. Our gloves, again, energy shield, mana, int, resistances, nothing fancy. Belt, mana, life, resistances, nothing fancy. We're just trying to get our resistances capped. And then our amulet. This is important. The most important part about the amulet is you need level 3 to all spells. Mana is great, int is great, Rarity is really good, and we are allocating spaghettification, which is right over here, which is move speed, chaos damage, all attributes, little bit of chaos resistance, minus chaos resistance, and light radius. But that is a nice buff to chaos damage, nice buff to all attributes. Our int is a major way we scale our damage. So yeah, that's our gear, that's our skills, and our passives. So what does it look like? So we'll do a tier 15 map real quick here, just to kind of show what the build looks like, what it's capable of. Just throw a random tier 15 in there, nothing juiced or anything too crazy. Just kind of want to show you guys what the build looks like and how it plays. So, essentially what we're doing here, we'll grab the Delirium. We're pretty much just casting Wither. That's how this build works. See, as we hit him with Wither and it froze him. Anything that doesn't survive the first hit or two will freeze. They'll be frozen for a nice chunk of time. Everything is also very slow around us. You know, the kind of having 20% move speed on the boots kind of sucks. I like my builds to feel pretty quick. But the magnitude of slows from both our Chronomancer passive as well as Temporal Chains just kind of slows the pace of combat down. That coupled with the move speed on the boots only being 20%, kind of makes it feel, it doesn't feel as slow as like another build with 20% move speed boots, at least in my opinion. You feel quite fast when you're fighting against monsters that are so slow. We also have a big range on our curses here. I'll hit him. So he's frozen, we'll incinerate. He's already dead though, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're pretty much just running around and casting our curse. And everything dies. The way we have it set up with the mana recovery on kill is really, really nice. Things kind of just die. When things die, we recover mana, which gives us more damage. As long as, like, if you have to sit there and spam and you're not killing and you notice your mana going down, you may need to pop a potion, because if your mana starts to dip, you will notice your damage fall off a bit. Having that extra damage from our mana always being full is really nice, and you really do feel it, I think, in harder maps. If we did something super juicy, you definitely will feel it. The other thing is, I really do think the defensives in this build need improvement. I was looking at recoup, but in order to make a recoup build work, you need at least 2 uniques. 3 would be better. You need a chest, a belt, and a helm. And we're getting a lot of our resistances from those armor slots, so it would be quite a big sacrifice. And we can't make up the difference on the boots, because we need our curses to apply instantly in order to clear like this. Without having our curses apply instantly, we would not be clearing nearly as quickly. I think the boss is in there, right? Alright, let's go do the boss. There it is. Okay. Okay, so we'll get our cursors rolling a little bit. We'll time freeze, and we'll hit him with Incinerate. And he will melt. Just like that. Yeah, this build has really good single target, has really good clear speed. All in all, it's really fun, you know? You can pretty much just turn on Netflix on your second monitor or turn on some YouTube and run it. Like, it takes very little effort to be able to do endgame content with this build. I've enjoyed it every single step of the way. It's been a ton of fun. Yeah. So it's kind of just a bit of an example. If anybody has any ideas of how to improve the build, I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'd love your opinions. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll go back to town and wrap it up. Yeah, thanks so much for checking it out. Like I said, if you guys have any ways that you could improve the build, or if you have any ideas of how we could get Recoup into the build, find a way to make it work, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, your guys' feedback. Yeah, and if you guys have any ideas for any off-meta builds that you want to see next, please let me know, and we'll find a way to make it work. Thanks so much for checking it out, and we'll see you guys in the next one.